What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Kiko Goats. This is Josh. Been a minute since I've done a video, but I've been busy. We've had a lot going on. But a question I get is, why goats? Why do we have goats? Let's get into that. So, one of the #1 reasons why we got into goats, when we bought this place, it was overgrown. I'm talking about severely overgrown. Hadn't been touched in probably 25, 30 years. And it had some perimeter fences on it. And I slowly started sectioning off pastures for goats. But the main reason why we got them was to clear up all this underbrush. And man, let me tell you, it was thick. It was terrible. You couldn't crawl through it. You couldn't see through it. And poison ivy was overgrown here really bad. So here's an example of one of the places. As you can see, as high as a goat can reach all the way down, it's cleaned up and cleared up. You couldn't see through that. There was vines, poison ivy, all kinds of stuff growing here. And I would take a chainsaw or I'd take a hatchet and I would work every weekend trying to clear it up. And you know what? I was told to get some goats. Goats would be the answer. And sure enough, they were. So we got goats on our property to help clean it up, make it look better. And then it just kind of evolved from there, from turning into somebody to work for me, to help with my place, to making pastures better, to turn into a little hobby, to turn into a little goat farm. Another reason why goats are a good animal to have, it's a meat. They're a meat goat. It's the #1 consumed meat in the world, and we import a lot of meat into the United States, goat meat, and there's a lot of people that eat goat. I've eaten it. It's good. I've eaten it several ways: barbecue, chili. I've had a goat stew, and I tell you what, you can't tell no different. It's a really lean meat, and a lot of people eat it, so it's a meat for your family. That's a #2 reason. So another good reason why to raise goats is, even if you have a small place, an acre or two, you can have a couple of goats. Or if you have hundreds of acres, you can run goats with your cows. Here we've got about 23 acres, and we do just specifically goats. And it's a manageable type animal. I've got some working pens for goats, but I used to not have them. I used to just kind of handle them in a small area. But goats can be handled by me, my son, a woman. They can be handled by several different people, and they're easy to handle. Another good reason for goats is for milk. Goats have good milk, and the Kikos, they produce a lot of milk. Some of these goats, their bags are big, and they've raised several kids. So if you wanted to, you could milk these goats and have milk. So I want to give you guys an update of what's been going on. So we've weaned some, and we took them to another pasture north of town. We took about 25 buck kids to wean off, and we took Mo, my male dog. We took him over there with them, and they're on a 13-acre pasture, weaning, grow them out. We'll take them. Most of them, there's 25 of them, so probably only 5 of them we'll look at to see if they could be, herd sires. I've sold a couple. It's weaning time, so I've sold a couple. And I've run into a little bit of a problem. So, I was checking their eyes for the parasite, the coloration in their eyes, see if they was wormy, and their eyes were looking great, looking good. And I run into a problem with a different type of worm, worms in their stomach. So everything that the goat was eating, it was being flushed out because of the worms. And it didn't affect all of them. It affected some of them. And I had a guy refer me, put me on some stuff. and it seems to be helping. It's a ivermectin sheep drench, and it's really helping cure up them worms in the stomachs and flush them out. And I had a little incident with one I sold, and I made it right with the guy, found the root of the problem, and I'm curing it. But with all this wet weather and the ground being nasty all the time, it's brought on a problem, and then their diet has changed. So I pulled them off of the hay and getting them on this new green forage, so it's changed the diet some. And most of the time it'll flush them out. They'll poop and it'll be runny. In a few days it'll cure up. But some of them it hadn't. Some of them, their little stomachs are bloating, getting big, and what that is that worm load. They had a high worm load, and I learned a hard lesson, but a lesson learned. I made it right with the guy. He helped me out, and I've been doctoring a couple of them, and so far it's doing good. It's helping out a bunch. So what we're looking at here is some of these are the keeper dolings that I'm keeping for my herd. I'm retaining. I think I've got 6 or 7 total that I'm going to keep. So these two right here, they're 2 that I'm retaining. I really like them. They're both New Zealand sisters, and I really like their mom, so I'm going to keep them and watch them grow out. So like I said, some of the reasons why we got into goats is we bought them to clear our land up, and it's done good for us. And as you can see, these goats continue to make the land better. They eat the weeds. I plant new grass that they like to forage on, and with that being said, they're always working here. They're always helping improve the place. So with the land situation, it don't matter if you have a bunch of land or you got a little bit of land. You can always have a goat, and it's probably one of the #1 homestead, small type farm animal to have. It's good for various things: milk, meat. People use their hide. So a goat is a very versatile type animal. And it's an animal that can be raised and handled by humans easily, unlike a cow. Cows, I'm telling you what, we've had cows, and it takes quite a big operation to raise cows. And I know some people that raise goats and cows, they coexist together. The cow eats the grass that has the worm that don't affect the cow, and the goats will eat the bad grasses that the cows won't eat, so they can coexist together. And I know people that raise them together. We have our little steer here, Bud, and you know, he coexists with them. He's off doing his own thing right now. He's not with the goats, but they can coexist together. So probably one of my favorite things about raising goats is the baby goats. Who don't like a little baby goat? They're fun to watch, and they all get together. They're running, jumping, playing. You can sit and watch them forever. So probably one of my most favorite things about having goats is the babies. It's a fun time when they're being born. It's a fun time watching them grow up. And then when you retain some, like I'm going to in my herd, the ones that I'm picking to retain, you know, I get to watch them grow. And then I'll breed them later on, and they'll have their own set of babies. So you never know what you're going to run into when you're raising animals. Like my problem that I encountered, you know, is something that I've never dealt with before, and with the conditions of the weather and things going on, it got a hold of some babies, and it wasn't good for them. A couple of nannies I had to take care of, but you know what? It was a lesson learned. It was a problem that I hadn't dealt with, and I learned a lesson. And like I was telling you about that drench, that Sidectin drench. I've never used it before. It was recommended to me by the guy that got the baby goat that had the problem, and it's helped me out a bunch. I can see a big difference already, and it's only been a few days. So with that being said, you never know what you're going to deal with out here. You know what? Just do the best you can, and make the best of it and go on. And that's what I've done. So I know it's been a while since I put a video out. Had a lot going on, but I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you catching up with what we've had going on. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video.